Oh, what do we have here? Nat Turner's mystery PSA 10. And eBay talking about shill bidding. Stick around. Hello, collectors, investors, all of my collectibles friends. We're back. It is another day. It is another card video. How the heck is everybody doing? I hope that everyone is getting through. It's hump day today. Halfway through the week. We're almost to the weekend, my friends. If you're new here, you're looking for that consistent card collectible style content with above average, well, probably just average entertainment value, then you have come to the right place. Hit the big red button, the subscribe button down below. Also connect with me on IG. That's where I share a lot of my pickups, and I'm also on Twitter firing off tweets on occasion, sometimes angrily on Sundays when my New Orleans Saints are completely sucking, which has been pretty common lately. Also, shout out to today's video sponsor, ComC.com, your home for buying, selling, and flipping all the hottest trading cards. Their consignment marketplace, home to over 29 million, almost 30 million cards, from baseball superstars like Aaron Judge to Marvel favorites like Spider-Man. ComC has something for every type of collector. Visit ComC.com today to build your collection with your favorite cards. But seriously, guys, ComC is a lot of fun. ComC.com. All right, news has been swirling about a post that Nat Turner, I believe he put it on Twitter, not IG. I could be wrong. I don't know if it's still up or not, but a lot of controversy about a picture or a couple of pictures that he put up. Michael Jordan inserts, kind of his thing, the 90s insert basketball style stuff, along with vintage baseball, I believe, are kind of like his niches that he really does like. And he is a monster collector in the space. Nat Turner also is a part owner of PSA, but also a mega collector. So on occasion, he will put out on whether it be IG or on Twitter or whatever, he'll put out posts of different pickups and whatever. And this is kind of the equivalent of like Jeff Bezos posting a picture of his new Bugatti supercar that he just picked up. It's like, man, Jeff, or Nat in this case, we're so happy for you. It's like after a while, it's like you've seen so many monster cards. He probably has tens of millions of dollars of cards in his collection, I'm guessing.
And you must be the Monopoly guy.
And so, it's kind of one of those things where a lot of envious collectors, look at it and are like, oh man, another one for you. Good on you, Nat or Jeff Bezos or whatever. So here's what happened lately that got people a little bit fired up. He posted a picture of kind of a cool looking Michael Jordan insert card. The name of the card, kind of really irrelevant, to be honest, but it's got an interesting little pattern on it. And it's a PSA 10. And Nat had put something like, submission back from PSA, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But the thing is he got a PSA 10 on a card that had a piece missing in it, which if we're going by PSA's grading standards, the guidelines, that would probably be more in like the PSA 2, 3, 4 range when you actually have a chunk of the card that's missing. Obviously, it was a mistake, or the conspiracy theorists, the tinfoil hat folks have been saying that he's getting kind of handouts. He's getting these grades handed out to him. He's getting preferential treatment because he is the owner of PSA. Now, do I personally think that he got like a free PSA 10 because it's his card? I don't. I don't think that he got just a handout, or let me rephrase. I don't think he knowingly got a handout. Meaning, I don't think that he walked up to Jack Smith, head grader, whoever the graders are, and said like, hey buddy, it's my card, do your thing. I don't think that happened. I think that it probably went through normal channels or whatever. Part of the problem, though, here is we've been talking about transparency within these hobby companies. This would be again, like if you just have some process transparency, it would go a long way, whether we're talking about grading companies or manufacturing and so forth. We live in a country where people in the United States, and look, I can probably speak somewhat globally here, people don't trust their government officials. They don't trust big business. They don't trust anybody. They're just trying to get through life, just do the best that they can. But they don't look at companies. They don't look at, elected government officials or unelected government officials and think, man, that's just incredible leadership. We're just in a weird part of the country. Honestly, I think there's probably too much information. People have so much access to information now with social media. And some will say like, oh, but there's a lot of misinformation, whatever. The point is there's just so much information that just wasn't there 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, etc. So it's all out there. And so that's where I think people, they see that people are human beings, make mistakes. They're not perfect. So this idea that we put people on a pedestal, it just doesn't happen anymore. It just doesn't happen. Not in the same way, I don't think that it did, pre-internet going back decades and decades. And so here we've got this situation where it's just optically, it looks horrible. Optically, it looks absolutely terrible. Now, from Nat's perspective, he's just a guy. He looks at himself as I'm a collector. I'm a collector in the space. I just so happen to be the head of PSA or whatever his new title is or the title is. I know he's not the president. Is he the chairman? Doesn't really matter. But the point is he is a higher up at the company. And so, but again, he's always been a collector. And you see this actually where you've got people that were collectors. Maybe they started a company that was bought by a larger company. You might be a collector, but you are now an employee of that space, or you are an owner within the hobby. It changes things. It just absolutely changes things. So optically, it doesn't look good. And we're not in, look, we've got economic turmoil. We've got, again, people are not in a very trusting mood these days. And we're operating in a very niche hobby where you just don't have a lot of companies. So there's a magnifying glass on all these companies that are in the hobby. PSA being the largest grading company, there's a huge magnifying glass on them. Now, here's the thing, though, is that PSA, we talk about this, and again, let me stop for a second. This channel is sponsored by SGC. So before I get in the comments, you're an SGC fanboy, you gotta talk about this. Guys, this is just common sense what I'm talking about. You don't have to be a biased individual, non-biased. I don't even have to have any sort of bias to just call out something that is the most basic, practical, common sense take on earth. So yes, I do like SGC. They are a sponsor of the channel. Part of the reason why that is because I've liked them for a long period of time. I've been speaking on this subject for years now. I do buy PSA cards. I also buy cards from all the other major grading companies. Again, we're talking about just practical things here, kind of just common sense. As PSA has expanded, they are now grading about 50,000 cards a day, and that is their target. I believe that Nat had said that in an interview, that their goal is 50,000 cards a day. You do the math on that. If that's 20 business days in a month, it's about 1 million cards a month. Now, there's got to be growing pains along the way. I don't think that you can just hire up and look, the capacity has gone way up. So there is an assumption that there are going to be probably mistakes made during that time. And so it's not that shocking that these sorts of mistakes happen, but they're still getting the bulk of the cards. So what's motivating PSA from changing anything on their end? They're still getting in tens of thousands of submissions a day or a month or whatever. They're still getting boatloads and boatloads of cards. And let's not kid ourselves. Honestly, I think if it was Ronald McDonald's grading company that was number one in resale value, that company would probably be number one in the space or close to it. Resale value is what really drives this, and the market has decided, at least currently, what that's going to be. Hasn't always been that way, but right now PSA is that company that they are number one. If we're looking kind of talking in general terms, there's going to be niches, especially in vintage, where there's companies that compete and all that, and they're similar as far as comps go. But as a whole, we can say that PSA really kind of controls that resale. They are the number one in resale. And we can sit here and pretend that, we're collectors. And yes, you do have vintage people that are, in the vintage space using the PSA set registry, and they like that, and great. Perfect. But the vast majority of people are sending all of these cards because of the resale value for the flip potential, or just that they think that in long term, they'd rather it be sitting in a PSA slab. And that's fair enough. Everybody gets to make their own decisions on that. There's no right or wrong to it, but that's just the reality. And that is the reason why there's no motivation to tighten it up from what I've seen. Why would they? They're number one. And so the only kind of result I see or solution is either one, Nat doesn't grade with PSA. That's an option. He doesn't grade any of his cards with PSA. Number two, he just has an extremely transparent. Hell, PSA can make some funny they can actually put some really good content around this if they're content people. thought about it, you could literally make a video of Nat Turner, like getting his cards together and then talking about the cards and then putting them in. It could be educational and it could be pretty entertaining. You got the owner of PSA that's putting his cards together. He's putting it off, show the package, go through, I don't know, do something creative with it and just show that, be transparent about the kind of the process. There's no transparency really on the back end. And that's where, again, we've run into problems with a ton of hobby companies. And so that's where we sit. In my opinion, do I think this is a massive conspiracy where Nat Turner only gets 10s? No, I don't think that. I actually do think that he probably goes through the proper channels, or he does it kind of in a way to where, the graders don't know it's his or whatever. Now, I don't know. Can the graders figure out if it's his? I don't know. These guys, if they're grading 50,000 cards a day, who knows? It's probably on the up and up. But again, it's optically. So probably on the up and up doesn't really matter when optically you look at it and the owner of PSA is sharing a card that is a PSA 10 that has a giant gash out of the front of it. How does that work? And I think too, it's like grading companies can make mistakes where it's like a corner or whatever, like, that should have been an 8 instead of a 9 or a 10 or whatever, but that should have been like a 3. Anyway, we're moving on to the next topic. eBay. eBay sent out an email. They are cracking down on shill bidding, right? I don't know. I saw Neo Cards and Comics put out a video. I think that it was this morning's video, and he's talking about this. Go watch that one because he actually breaks down in more detail kind of what's as far as like their policy and what they were doing and saying whatever. I'm just kind of going to put an overlying kind of reaction to it. And I'm on Facebook. I'm on different, social media platforms. And I see this. I'll see if I can just put the picture up here. And it's basically like non-payer type stuff. On eBay, the biggest issue is non-payers. And so then you have to wonder, like, are they not paying because they shilled it up and now they're not paying because they're trying to get a comp in, or whatever? Is that what's happening? And so that is such a big problem. If eBay is going to be serious about shill bidding, Neo had put out something like, a financial benefit or a financial incentive for people to carry out bids, basically meaning that there would be like a penalty if you bid on something, you win it, and you don't pay for it. Maybe it's 10% of the sales price goes to eBay, or 15% or 20% or whatever. There's some sort of financial penalty so that you don't do that again. It's just automatically charged to your credit card. There's got to be certain ways to do this. But again, I don't know if there's ever been incentive to do it. I think now there's legislature and different things that are coming into play where auction houses have to be a little bit more careful with this stuff and figure it out. eBay's trying to figure it out. And so that's where I hope that they there needs to be something like that. Hell, if I bid on something and I win and I'm not going to pay for it, I should be dinged 10%. I'm not taking responsibility for the stuff that I bought, that I bid for. It's just not right. So anyway, that's my quick take on the eBay stuff. But guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, I hope that you have an amazing day ahead. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and don't forget to check out comc.com. Talk to you later.